Welcome, Retroholic Gamers, the channel where knowledge is free and experience is earned. Today I'm going to show you how to put together a Raspberry Pi 4. I have a 4GB RAM version, Model B. Now, in 2022, there is a bit of a shortage on these, but you can still purchase them. They're a little bit more expensive than what they used to be, and I'm not going to get into full details as to why there is a shortage, but they are still being produced, and you can still purchase them. There's just normally purchase limits. And you can pick up everything you need to put a Raspberry Pi 4 together for averagely around $150 AUD. So pretty much, let's jump straight into it, get it done pretty quick. You're going to need your Raspberry Pi 4, a Pi case, and you will need a power adapter for it, preferably one with a switch. That is basically just so you can turn it on and off, so as you don't have to unplug it at the power point or turn it off at the power point every time you want to turn it off or on. You will need a micro HDMI to HDMI cable, as well as a cooling fan. Not every Pi case is designed to use a fan, but it's highly recommended that you have a fan to keep your Pi cool. It just depends. Certain projects, it might not be necessary to have a fan. The other thing is heat sinks, very handy. And finally, a micro SD to USB reader, and of course an micro SD card to have as your hard drive. Now I have put a Pi together before, so I do have a little bit of knowledge about what I'm doing. I've never put one of these Pi Hut cases together before, so you're going to have to bear with me as we work through that. Let's get a better view at this and get to it. Okay, let's start. Open up our Raspberry Pi. It has in it some little instructions, but what's the point of that when you've got me? Alright, so as you can see, here's your Raspberry Pi board. Right here you've got your CPU, so this is where you're going to want to put one of your heat sinks. This little chip right here is your GPU, so you're going to need a heat sink on that as well. And the other thing that is recommended is your little chip here for your USB ports. If you really want, this chip just below it is for your Ethernet port, but it does have wireless, so if you prefer using Wi-Fi, just leave it be, I guess, because you won't be using it. But I do find transferring data from a PC or laptop onto your Raspberry Pi is much easier if you've got it connected to your network by a hard cable. And up here is your little controller chip for your power source. This is where your USB-C goes via power cable. Right here is your ports for your micro HDMI. You've got your port 1 and port 2, or I believe they come up as HDMI 0 and HDMI 1. This is so you can have dual monitors, as your second micro HDMI is for your second monitor, that's HDMI 1, and that is in case you are wanting to do an arcade cabinet and you want a second screen for your marquees. So let's quickly put some heat sinks on here. So as you can see, I've got some heat sinks here. All you have to do is peel off your little white label and stick it on there. I have a few that I've already peeled this off because sometimes it can be a little annoying and I didn't want it to slow down progress. So your Pi should come with some heat sinks, otherwise you might have to purchase them separately. You can buy large packs of little mini heat sinks like this, or you can buy packs specifically for Raspberry Pi. So you want to get one that's a rather decent square, the same size as your CPU, and you just want to stick it right on there, like so. You want to apply a little bit of pressure, but not too much that you're going to cause any damage. Check that it's nice and firmly stuck on there. Don't pull it too hard or you will just pull it straight off. Doesn't wriggle around, doesn't fall off. Then you will get one about yay size. That fits perfectly on your GPU. And once again, do so. I'll have to lay it down as that just makes it a bit easier. And that's firmly on there. So the whole purpose of your heat sinks is that when it starts to heat up, it absorbs the heat from the microchip. And then one right here like so. And as I have a couple for it, and I like to, I'll have one for my Ethernet port. Cooling is always very important, especially if you wish to overclock your Raspberry Pi, which I do. And one more on our processor chip for our power supply. That way we can have it running for a great many hours, because who doesn't love running things for hours? Okay. just get our fan out. Comes with screws and nuts. And just as I've got it now, as I'll show you, I won't plug it in right now, I'll put it in the case, start putting it in the case before I do, but your fan, you'll have your red cable connected to these pins. Just up here, you see you'll have 2 rows of pins. On the outer pins, the red will go on the 2nd pin, and the black on the 3rd. It goes directly down, slotting onto them, so I'll show you that in a minute. I have to apologise for the sniffling, I have been rather sick lately. And let's start our case. And it looks like our case comes with its own little playback fan. Awesome, look at that. Might put that one away and save it for later. Sorry, I just had to blow my nose. That might happen time to time. Looks like we've got our little screw bolts. Looks like we're going to have to snap some parts apart for this. 4 sides. It looks like the top of our case. This is where our fan will go, so it can pull air in. And that's the base. Okay. And we're back. I had to duck away and grab a couple tools so I can put this together and kind of wrap my head around it. It's a little bit different to other pie cases I've done before in the past, but I've worked it out. Now when putting the bottom side of the case on, make sure your gap here is down this side of the board, as that is where you'll be placing your micro SD card. You can take it out and change it over with a different one for whatever reason. So So when the fan goes on, you'll want your fan sitting directly over that CPU, because that is your most important part that you are wanting to keep cool. And of course, if you have it the other way around, your USB ports and even screw holes won't meet up. So try and pre-plan out where your cable's going to go. As I said earlier, it's going to slot into these two pins, just like so. Okay. So now to get this case on, I quickly discovered I need to loosen these two bolts. That is just to give us a little bit of wiggle room to get that front cover on. So make sure there we go. And while we've got that little bit of wiggle space, we might as well put the side on. There we go. And let's quickly tighten it. Make sure, yeah, there's the bottom. And there we have it. Now, Pi Hut. I can't hear any rattling, everything's pretty tight. That's looking good. The only thing I'll show you is obviously a USB-C power supply, plugs in, like so. Then you can turn the power on, and you have an on and off switch right here. And your micro HDMI. So I had that upside down, like so. And then of course your second micro HDMI if you wish to do marquees or speakers. And there you have it, Retroholic Gamers, our completed Pi Hut with our safely installed Raspberry Pi 4. The only thing I didn't show you earlier as I was putting it together was applying these little rubber feet, which is pretty simple. They're just like on a little sticker that you peel off and take them out, stick it right onto the bottom of the Pi case, like so. And that's just so you can put it down on the table and it firmly sticks to the table and doesn't slide around. Pretty handy. This is where you put your micro SD card. So I have another Pi here. I'll just take that out. There's many different cases, as you can see. This is an aluminum heatsink case with dual fans, very adequate cooling. Its downside is it does leave the circuit board rather exposed. I don't like that. I don't like how the pins are showing on the side or that the fan cabling is on the outside of it. It's a little bit annoying, but I guess with how it is, that's the only way it could be done. But yeah, for security purposes, much prefer this Pi Hut case. That's pretty cool. Still easy access to get to your micro SD card, so you can put it straight in like so, or you can take it out and swap it out with different SD cards if you want to use your Pi for multiple purposes, or even have multiple SD cards with different RetroPie images. Maybe you prefer to have an SD card with just PlayStation, one with just Nintendo. I will say Nintendo 64s are really hard to emulate on Pis. You do have a couple different Raspberry Pi 4s. You've got a 2 gigabit RAM, 4 gigabit RAM, and an 8 gigabit RAM version. It does not matter which one you get. It's not going to change emulation on an N64 because it has more to do with the GPU that they put on the Raspberry Pis. Hopefully, a Raspberry Pi 5 in the future might be a little bit better for that purpose. But other than that, you can get a Nintendo 64 running pretty decent on a Raspberry Pi 4. I'm going to be doing a video rather soon on how to set up a Nintendo 64 on a Retro Pi to maximize its efficiency. So if that's something you'd like to learn a bit more about, please like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll be seeing that in the near future. And the very last thing is making sure you've got a micro SD card reader, so you can either copy an image onto your SD card or install a fresh copy of RetroPie or some other program. And that being said, thanks for watching.